Hello and welcome to this Mary Lives special. This is Dr. Mark Miravalli. My friends, I want to deal predominantly in today's discussion on something that should weigh very heavy on all of our consciences, on all of our concerns, and that is the upcoming elections. Before I do that, I want to make a quick but important clarification regarding the present status of the Lady of All Nations devotion. Recently, there have been a few articles that have presented both inaccurate and confusing information. So we have the clarity of documentation available. If you go to motherofallpeoples.com, motherofallpeoples.com, and you'll see an article by Bishop Punt, the Bishop Emeritus from the Diocese of Amsterdam, and he who was part of the process of evaluating the Lady of All Nations, and also another article on the legitimacy of devotion to the Lady of All Nations. Just 3 points to help foster an accurate and balanced assessment of the Lady of All Nations. Number one, the 1974 document from the Congregation for the Doctrine of Faith did not declare the apparitions of Amsterdam false. That would be a decision referred to as constat de non supernaturalitate, meaning that it has been established that it is not supernatural. In fact, the 1974 document from the Congregation for the Doctrine of Faith regarding Amsterdam gives a non constat de supernaturalitate decision. Now that may sound like a parsing of words, but it's critically important in terms of its difference. Non-constat means the supernatural character or origin has not yet been established, but there is an openness to further development. Secondly, indeed, further development took place, that the Congregation for the Doctrine of Faith had its own modification of its position regarding the Lady of All Nations, which included accepting devotion to the Lady of All Nations. It's also important to note that it's the Congregation for the Doctrine of Faith that gives the instruction to the local bishop that it is his responsibility to make the local determination regarding the authenticity of an apparition. And thirdly, we cannot forget the inseparable link between the Amsterdam devotion and the apparitions and the devotion to Our Lady in Akita, Japan, that when a statue of the Lady of All Nations manifested a number of supernatural phenomena, 101 weeping of tears, etc., that the Bishop John Ito in 1984 approved the supernatural character of Akita, Japan, and that was done with the consultation of the Congregation for the Doctrine of Faith once again. And it is inseparably linked to the apparitions and the devotion of the Lady of All Nations. So more details are available on the website where we go through a whole chronology, both the bishop and later discussion regarding the present status of the Lady of All Nations. Of course, feel free to continue in total peace with devotion to the Lady of All Nations, as those articles will confirm. Now to the issue of the upcoming election. This, of course, is historically weighty. In a recent video, I spoke about a hierarchy of values that should lead the Catholic, and by extension the Christian, and I would even say people of goodwill, on how to order their priorities. So let's go to the commandments, the 10 commandments. The Catechism of the Catholic Church tells us that the commandments give us a certain hierarchy or order of love that we should also respond to, that it's a priority that we should have. My friends, having priorities is, of course, true for all of us in all of our activities. Think of the domestic church, think of home life. Imagine if your priorities of cleaning or mowing the lawn were higher than the priority of caring and nurturing and fostering your children. that would also obviously be a great error of a hierarchy, of an order that could cause grave damage. Well, surely that's also true in society, and it's true in an extended culture. And so what order do we get by looking at the Ten Commandments? Well, the Catechism rightly says the order of love is first of all God. Those are our first 3 commandments. Secondly, family. That's the 4th commandment. Thirdly, life. Thou shalt not kill. After life, we have directions towards an orderly sexuality with the 6th and 9th. And then finally, and in fact, in last of the order of these great commandments, is concerned with property, possessions. So the order of love for the Christian, based on the commandments, is God, family, life, then sexuality, then property. My friends, don't let property or possessions or temporal concerns usurp the order of how a Christian should live in all sectors, in all aspects of life, including the dimension of voting, including the dimension of social responsibility. I want to read to you powerful words of St. John Paul II in his apostolic document, in his letter Christi Fidelis Laici to the Christian lay faithful. And this is in number 38, but these are powerful words. Bear with me as I read just a few of these paragraphs so we have a clear teaching for how we should act in this public domain as well. Again, number 38. The Holy Father says, "If indeed everyone has the mission and responsibility of acknowledging the personal dignity of every human being and of defending the right to life, some lay faithful are given a particular title to this task, such as parents, teachers, health workers, and the many who hold economic and political power." So the first point is all the faithful have the right, the responsibility, the call, the summons to defend life. But in a special way, parents, teachers, healthcare workers, and those who hold political power. My friends, anyone who calls themselves Catholic in any authentic meaning, with any properly formed conscience, has a special responsibility to defend and protect life. And in a particular accentuation, those who hold political office. So it's a double evil, if you will, for those in political office who would refer to themselves as Catholic and, first of all, fail their responsibility as just a member of the lay faithful in promoting life and respecting the right to life. But secondly, they have a higher call because they do have a political office. That means they have more responsibility. That means it's a graver evil when they are not fulfilling their political office in the mission of life. The Holy Father continues, and this is also critically important. The inviolability of the person, which is a reflection of the absolute inviolability of God, finds its primary and fundamental expression in the inviolability of human life. Above all, the common outcry, which is justly made on behalf of human rights, for example, the right to health, to home, to work, to family, to culture, is false and illusory. If the right to life, the most basic and fundamental right and condition for all other personal rights, is not defended with maximum determination. So that's right from the voice of the papal magisterium. It's not a theological opinion. It's not a social opinion. It's not a political opinion. This is the magisterium of the church saying that if you change the hierarchy, if you mess up the order, if you usurp the moral and spiritual and personal dignity of a human person for something lower, St. John Paul II calls it false and illusory. It's not real. It's an imaginary and very dangerous usurping of the proper order of life. And so that's why, if we're talking specific cases, if someone says, I'm very concerned about private property. Yes, but that presupposes that you're alive. I'm very concerned about the best possible health care. But yes, as the Holy Father said, that presupposes that you're alive. What about the right to vote, the right to bear arms? You get the idea. All of the subordinate rights depend on the right to life. And it's false and illusory to let lower priorities take away the right to life. This is why the Church, not in a political statement, but in a moral social imperative, calls Catholics to make sure that they are voting for life, and that it's morally reprehensible to vote for a candidate that is not pro-life when you have a pro-life candidate available. And my friends, think of it this way, and bear with me if you will, because I think this is important. I want you to think about the person you love the most on earth right now. And if it's a battle between two people, don't worry about it. Just pick someone you deeply love. But the person, try to go for the person you love the most. Now imagine someone coming up to you and saying, I know you love this person. I know this person is valuable, but I need to pay less taxes. Or, I know this person is someone you love. I know this person is valuable, but I really think that there's a person out there that has a personality traits I just don't like. Or finally, I know you love this person is valuable to you, but I think this person might be disposed to prejudices. And therefore, I'm going to decide against this person's life, your beloved. I'm going to decide against your beloved for these secondary rights. My friends, it's a grave error. It's a philosophical error. It's a moral error that then manifests its ugly head in the political arena. I beg you, my friends, pray about this. Now, let's talk about a final category. Let's just say a person says, look, I'm confused, just straight up, I'm confused. I don't like this person. This person drives me crazy. I don't like this person's moral life. I don't like what they do in their personal life. At the same time, I see the importance for life. I see a pro-God, a pro-life, a pro-family, a pro-marriage platform. But it's still all confusing to me. And keep in mind, we don't vote for people based on their moral lives unless their moral lives indicates they're not going to keep their promises. That would be an important consideration. But if the track record shows that in spite of a dubious moral life, they have kept their promises, especially regarding pro-God, pro-life, pro-marriage, pro-natural law. But let's just say again, it's just simply confusing. My friends, it would please God if you defaulted for life. Think of yourself defending your position before our sweet Jesus himself. Saying, Lord, I'm simply confused. I don't know. I'm not a theologian. I'm not a philosopher. I'm not a politician. And I respect people on both sides of this, and they say these things, and there's a lot of emotion. But Lord, because I didn't know, I defaulted for life. Because I thought that would be most pleasing to you. I thought that would be the best way I could defend to you as someone who loves you and someone who professes to be a Christian, that in my uncertainty, I erred towards the pro-life platform. Regardless of what I think of the person, regardless of personality traits, I want to default towards life. My friends, that will bring you peace. That will bring you peace of heart and ultimate peace of soul. On the other hand, if one faces God and says, I wasn't sure. I know this platform was clearly pro-life, but I saw good things in this other platform, and so I did not default for life. I defaulted for all the things that St. John Paul II said were false and illusory compared to life. You don't want to do that, my friends. So, our faith as Christians does not depend on any election. We have a Savior that is divine. We have a church that is inspired. We have a Pope that guides us in faith and morals. And that's our ultimate destiny as Christians. But we have serious social responsibilities. And I say again, it's not for the church to tell you what person to vote for or what party to vote for. But you, as an intelligent Catholic, Christian adult, have to use wisdom, and you have to use the means by which the church grants to make those decisions. So again, I beg you to default for life. And that's a peace you can have before God, even amidst all the other confusions, amidst all the other emotional issues. Even a student come up recently and saying, I so respect this individual professor, but they seem to think that one party follows the Constitution a little better than the other party. Now, is that a consideration? Sure, it's a consideration, but it's not the consideration of the life of the people that we need to even have a republic, to have a democracy, to write a constitution. It all returns to that issue because it is the fundamental issue. That's why the U.S. bishops say it is preeminent. So I ask you to prayerfully consider defaulting for life, especially if you're undecided. Also, be a witness. Do not hesitate to be a witness for life. Yes, that means sometimes there'll be persecution. But the God-man we follow is the sign of contradiction. We personally should not be afraid of perhaps being ridiculed or thought less of among our friends, among our family members. You can use prudence about when you decide and how you decide to witness. But remember, silence implies consent. And so if you're silent when people are articulating the reasons why to vote for a pro-abortion candidate, you are called to respond and you're called to witness. Again, it doesn't have to be a full presentation, but be a witness to life. My friends, thanks for being with us today in Mary Live. I ask you to pray these most precious beads for the election. These beads have changed the course of human history before. They can do it again. This is a spiritual as well as a moral and social and eventually political issue. Bring Our Lady into it. Let the mediatrix of all grace have her say. That only happens when you exercise your freedom to allow Our Lady to exercise her freedom by bringing grace and peace and the will of God into the election. Thanks so much for being with us. Mary Live, this is Dr. Mark Miravalle saying, God bless you all.